The 2022 NFL Draft is less than 2 weeks away, and I don't know about you guys, but I am very excited. And given that several of today's mailbag questions are about the draft, I think you're excited about it, just like me. But I want to know for certain. So like the video right now, very simple request, if you're pumped, excited, and hyped about this year's NFL Draft. You're watching Pittsburgh Steelers Talk. I am Tom Downey of Chat Sports. As a reminder, if you want to be on future mailbags, to make sure you use hashtag Steelers in the comments section. It's how producer Jeremy finds your questions, and it is a scientific fact you are more likely to get picked if you are subscribed. So hit that big red button if you haven't already. First up on our mailbag from Sage Kai, do you think Mitch will be long-term? Do you mean Mitchell Renz at Chat Sports? No, he's going to get fired. No, you mean Trubisky. I'm not a believer. I'm sorry. I've seen him play for the Bears. I know that Matt Nagy wasn't a good coach, but he also didn't do anything with the Bills to justify getting the promotion. He was decent in 2018, but if this was your level of play in 2019, 2020, I think we would have been like, yeah, we're not really sold on that guy, so I don't believe in Trubisky long-term. I would happily be proven wrong here, but the way the Steelers structured that contract, it is also indicative of someone who they're like, yeah, he's a stopgap at best, and we'll might even draft someone this year. So what do you guys think? Will Trubisky start more than one season for the Steelers? Will it be for this year and beyond, or not? Let me know in the comments section by typing in Y for yes. He gets at least 2 years as the guy for Pittsburgh, and N for no, he's not going to be. While you're down there, by the way, if you haven't already, make sure you guys are subscribed. Hit that big red button and subscribe so you get daily videos on everything going on around the Pittsburgh Steelers. Tiny Tom, which don't like this one. Off to a great start today. I'm worried about, your producer Jeremy loves it though, I'm worried about Dan Moore. Should we go left tackle in round one? So I understand the concern around Dan Moore. I didn't think he was great last year. And when you look at what this team has on the offense, I think you're fine on the interior. I think you're in good shape there. Chucks is going to be a right tackle whether we like it or not. Left tackle, I'm lying, I don't know about that one there. Dan Moore, I think he's more of a swing in the NFL. So the concern, I think, is valid. But you also don't want to force yourself into drafting a left tackle or a tackle period if the value isn't right. So there are some potential guys. Not all of these are round one picks, right? If Trevor Penning is there at 20, which I do not anticipate him being, run to the podium. I think that'd be a fantastic pick with the value, because that would mean he'd probably tackle 5 off the board or 4 off the board, and you jump all over that one. Bernard Raymond, I don't like that much. I could see him going round 1, round 2. I'd feel a lot better about him, though, in the second round. I could get on board with that pick for the Steelers. Tyler Smith might go in round 1, but if you're worried about Dan Moore helping you right now, Tyler Smith's a holding machine with just awful technique. He's a fantastic athlete. There's an upside to be a future number 1 starting left tackle, but he's not ready yet. And then if you want to wait a little bit, I love Abraham Lucas, but he's a right tackle at Washington State, and I think he's a perfect pick in the second round. Did you play Chucks at left tackle? I don't know if Lucas can go over there. Nicholas Petit-Friere's played both right tackle and left tackle, but I think he's more of a third-round guy than a fourth-round player. So all those picks are a bit more investment than what you made in Dan Moore, but it would also feel like a reach to me. Look, we'll know what the Steelers do during the NFL Draft, and Chat Sports will be live for the entirety of it. Unlike some other YouTube channels out there, they'll stop doing their coverage after round 1 or round 2 or round 3 or whatever. And unlike the failing ESPN and NFL Network, we'll actually talk about every single player who gets picked. I spend all of my free time making sure I know who these prospects are, so that when random guy out of, I don't know, South Alabama gets drafted or whatever, I know who that is. And if not, I pay a hefty punishment for not knowing them. So subscribe, youtube.com/chatsportstv. We'll put that link in the comment section and in the description. From Blaze Me Up, Can we say that on YouTube? All right. Any chance we could sign Jarvis Landry to a cheap contract? I think you should be able to. I think that's what Landry's value is right now. He's coming off another down year. He was injured, of course, 570 yards. At this point, guys that are available after the draft or right before the draft, they don't typically sign big-time contracts. Now, allegedly, Landry wanted $20 million per year, which is absolutely delusional. He's not worth half of that. Frankly, a one-year, $10 million deal, I think, is way too much value there for Landry on that standpoint. A one-year, $5 million deal, that one I could certainly get on board with. So what do you think? Let's say it's 1 year, $5 million, which I think is a lot more in the range of what Landry's worth. Would you sign him to that to have him be your slot receiver? S for sign or P for pass? Sound off for me in the comments section. Big Kahuna 808. Any news on Tyrann Mathieu, and are the Steelers still interested in him? So there isn't really much of an update on the Honey Badger. I've seen stuff like the Rams were interested to an extent on that front. I think with where we're at, with less than 2 weeks to go until the NFL draft, unless a team really steps up with a strong offer for the Honey Badger, he might just wait until after the draft. I think that makes sense, too, for the Steelers side of it, right? What if Pittsburgh doesn't take a safety with one of their first 3 picks? What if they don't add somebody? Well, then Mathieu might make more sense for them as even just a 1 year stopgap on a fairly noteworthy, 8, 9, 10, whatever it is, $1 million contract, maybe 6 or 7 even. I'm not sure what the value is with where we're at in the free agency cycle here. But if Pittsburgh, drafts somebody in round 2, let's say it's a Jaquan Brisker, for example, or Jalen Petrie or whatever, then they're not going to sign Tyrann Mathieu. And from Mathieu's perspective, by waiting, he knows he gets to be the guy in the starter with no one looking over his shoulder immediately. And that team might be a little bit more desperate to find a starter at safety. So I think Mathieu might wait until after the draft. But, yes, I would have interest in adding him if I were the Pittsburgh Steelers, because that's just a good route to go. I think he's an instant, talented impact player who can help your defense. And I know Pittsburgh said they want to have some youth at the position, and I get that. And I know there are concerns out there around the Honey Badger maybe being just a little bit too old and declining, but I just think he's an awesome football player. So if I were the Pittsburgh Steelers and I don't draft somebody, hell yeah, I would want him on my team. From Black and Yellow, I'm not doing this feud again. Any wide receiver sleepers we should draft? I do think receiver is a big need. Obviously, a lot of, I'll call it big media time has been spent on quarterback and safety and maybe left tackle. But I think receiver is an area of focal point too, because there's Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, and Anthony Miller. Doesn't really move the needle for me. I think you want at least one more guy. Frankly, I could see Pittsburgh double dipping with maybe a second and third and another day 3 pick there too. So I want you to be honest with me. Really evaluate where this team sits at wide receiver. How confident are you in the Steelers wide receiver depth chart right now? Scale it for me 1 to 100 in the comments section. Here are 5 names to keep an eye out for who could answer your question on potential sleepers, right? David Bell had some round 2 hype. Well, he's slow. So he might be there for you 3rd, 4th round. Despite getting some top 50 buzz pre-combine, he's a physical receiver who doesn't have great traits. Danny Gray, if there is, I'm not saying there is going to be, but if there is, if there's a Darnell Mooney, Danny Gray's a good one to keep an eye out for. SMU, skinny, vertical threat with awesome speed. I would love him as soon as the 4th round. Velus Jones Jr. also has great speed. I think he's going to get drafted for his special teams value. He's not a great receiver right now, but he is the athlete. Bo Melton is my other big-time sleeper out of Rutgers. Good athlete, could be used as a Percy Harvin type of role. That's kind of times how he was used a little bit for Rutgers. That's kind of the vibe. Athletically, also really impressive. And then there's Ty Freifogel, who last year, 2020, had that great run for Indiana. And this year looked like a completely different player. So maybe a gamble on him, hoping you get the 2020 version. So he and Bell are kind of they've slid down draft boards, and that's why their value could actually work out as a sleeper option.